Yeah.
What's the difference? We'll find out next season.
Next thing, bye guys. Next thing is awful.
Yeah.
In theory, we're back.
That's us.
Are we back?
Read this.
Okay.
I think. So, yeah.
Wow, that's a long one. But
Works.
Okay.
Says
Yes.
the
Okay.
guest.
okay.
I think in the terms of the difference between sound designer, audio designer, sonic designer, sonic designer is basically us going crazy with those terms because it doesn't really mean that much. Sound design is often referred to in combination with other media. So you have a movie and somebody does sound design for the movie. With sonic design, we more aim at designing sounds themselves in more an artistic context.
Well, I wouldn't necessarily separate them at all with our sound design itself. Is, even if it's for the mainstream media or visual media, whatever it is, it has art in it. You're creating sounds as well.
Yeah,
It's
but
just
it's
the
more
goal
like
is-
working in assignment or working as an artistic thing. I think there's a difference there.
I agree.
I guess there's different opinions.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
So-
I don't agree.
Yeah. That's
Maybe-
cool.
There isn't a...
Maybe we
I-
should make a
that's
think
fine.
tank out of
I was
it.
just wondering. Yeah, I was just wondering because I heard it like so explicitly
Yeah.
two, 3 times.
You can give the historical references, then it would explain why the name comes to be like sonic art, sonic design, and sound design. But it's I don't think it's about having art or not.
Okay.
The emphasis could be a bit more utilitarian, whereas the other one is more about form. Then you can say, oh, okay, but art. Then you get to a whole another discussion
I
about
understand.
art.
I didn't know it was going to be this.
Big.
Yeah, you asked the question.
Yeah, that's true. Thank you.
Okay, please. I'll
Well,
answer.
yeah, and I'm Kiri. I'm also a master's student at the KMT. I'm a composer, a pianist. I'm writing my thesis at the moment on group improvisation. And I'm also, recently I started writing for blogs about art and performances. And I joined these discussions because I enjoy them.
Good reason.
Good enough of a reason.
Alright, I'm Mariah. I've been to quite a few of the think tank sessions, so people know what I look like.
But you don't.
Yeah.
You're not visible there.
No.
Yeah, I know.
They know you.
I'll be visible once I finish dinner.
Okay.
Fair enough.
I'm an interactive sound artist, which actually means I make interactive sound art. Just to get these words right. And I also support other artists, technically and apparently also more and more as an advisory person. And that includes occasionally some emergency repairs for festivals. And I'm also working at STIME as the hardware research development person. Yeah, that's about it. The short.
Okay. I'm Jarl Schulp. I'm director of the Fiber Festival. We're a festival which acts on the intersection between media art and electronic music. We call it the Audiovisual Network Festival. We're with a group of 8 people. We work as a sort of collective, but within a festival structure. So we're not only doing the festival, but we also the whole group is making art themselves. Our artists are DJs, VJs, visual artists, composers. So it's very broad. And we host a yearly festival called the Fiber Festival, where we have an exhibition, a day program, a club night, and several smaller programs who connect with different parts of the festival. And we're moving more and more towards also organize the festival, but also participating in the creation of installations, supporting artists on different ways. We have the Fiber Space, that's our online platform. And we're now aiming at doing several smaller events throughout the year. And when we had a Facebook roundup or for subjects for this think tank, I was very curious about the ideas of everyone in the think tank on how a festival should support or could support artists in a better way. And that could be about how the festival works for an artist, how works are presented or how they being approached by a festival, and how a festival can be of more value to an artist or a work of art. For instance, what we try to do with the festival is follow different types of artists throughout the year and write about them on our blog to give them more exposure, sort of extended exposure beyond the festival. And I was wondering what your ideas, experiences are with festivals. If you think festivals can support a better environment for artists. And I'm wondering, because we get more and more questions about artists who have works that are like older works and they would really like to show them again somewhere and are looking for support partners to show those pieces. What do you think about that sort of developments and the creation of new works in collaboration with festivals? So those are kind of the topics I'm interested in and would really like to just think about it and just listen and hear from your experiences. So
yeah, so who
could you maybe give a short introduction on how artists are currently supported in festivals? Because I don't really
I think there are quite different ways. What we try to do within Fiverr is make an environment where we not only present the art, but make it a really an environment where we try to actively let different artists meet with each other. For instance, people from different backgrounds try to connect them together in workshops or just meetings, or just telling, hey, you should meet this person because it's very interesting for what you're doing. That's on a sort of social level, and we're also presenting the works of artists to present them to a broad public. We're trying to follow artists throughout the year. For instance, Oli Sørensen is a Canadian artist, and we presented the work at our first festival, and a year later we caught up with him and did an interview, and we try to follow him where he goes and where his work goes and report on this. So we have like sort of extended presentation of artists' development of works. We also try to connect artists with questions we get, and we can't do anything with them. For instance, a question comes for, please can you help us with a party that can do a VJ show or build an installation. Then we look into our networks and say like, okay, we know exactly the person you're looking for, and this is this person. So we
an agency.
like I wouldn't call it an agency at this moment, because
function-wise
it functions a bit. Agency is quite of a big word, and I think you have to really stood up for the artists and really create work for them. So that's, but we try to work with our network in that sort of way. But other festivals are really into production together with artists. For instance, Today's Art. It's a pity Tim couldn't be here, but I know they're quite close with a lot of artists and working a lot with to make new works, new performances. To support them with money or network or partnerships where they can travel around to different festivals in Europe. So those could be different ways of supporting artists in a sort of scale. But I'm also interested in what do you think of if you're performing an art of a festival? What happens? How are you approached within the festival? You just, are you being guided? Do you feel you are being guided towards the perfect presentation, or you're just all on your own and just do your stuff and then you're gone? So I'm also curious about that.
Okay.
I think within that context, I think I've experienced both. On the one hand, like arriving somewhere, no idea where you have to go, and you ask like, yeah, I'm supposed to play here, and it's like, oh yeah, you might want to go that way or something, and on the other hand, what I noticed at Fiber Festival, that you, for instance, also had these, during the build-up of the exposition, there were also these dinners where you would also specifically like, oh yeah, hey, you should definitely talk to that guy because he's and yeah, that's like the complete opposite of like both extremes I've experienced. On the one hand, really the yeah, we only pay you and you should just be on time and do your set and then you're gone. And on the other hand, it's like really the attempt of trying to make people part of the network and yeah, helping you to get more out of it than just the gig.
Yeah. And is presentation of artists' work, do you think that's enough, or are you also looking to different relationships with with festivals? Is that something that is interesting, or is it just doing presenting your work and then afterwards I'm just curious in if you sometimes think about approaching festivals before you want to develop a work or develop a performance.
Well, there are some pros and cons, I think. Sometimes when festivals have these longer relationships with festivals, it feels like it's harder to connect with that as a beginner, because you know, okay, oh yeah, this festival, oh they always work with these and these and these and these guys, and if you're not in that network, it's really hard to get there. As opposed to where a festival has a new batch of people to work with each time, it's maybe like feels like you have more of a chance to enter that space. But also then it's like a one-off thing, like the next time you're out again. Any other experiences maybe, because otherwise it's
well, I mean, we're working on Cultfest, and the whole idea behind Cultfest is that we want to connect different disciplines with each other. So it's not a music festival or a theater festival or something. It's a combination that kind of overrules all creative disciplines, because we're also working with psychiatrists and with scientists and with artists from any discipline that's imaginable. And in that sense, we don't have any money also, so that means that people are at the festival that they're not getting paid for their gig at all, but we can pay for what you need. But it's interesting to see that I mean, Thijs and Roald and a few other people, you as well, collaborated in Cultfest last year.
I wasn't
really. You weren't really, but you were, I mean, kind of part of it.
Aware of it.
Yeah. But that you guys, we gave you a lot of freedom in kind of, you mentioned a while back that you really liked that. So there was a space, a place where you could actually do your thing, and you could just kind of program it yourself. And that we're kind of doing the same thing this year, but it's a little bit different because we have to keep a little bit of an eye on what's going to really be happening at the festival, because last year was the first time we organized it. But I'm wondering, how far can you go in giving this much freedom? Because I noticed that, you know, you as a programmer or whatever I am, you kind of want to keep a level of value, or how do you say that? A level of, I have to switch to English, quality, and how are you so certain that the people that you involve in your festival can actually meet that quality standard? Because you don't know if you're working together with people that you've ever worked with. So how, I don't know if you've experienced or anyone else in giving people a certain kind of freedom, and also knowing that will I don't know how to explain this. Like, that's what I'm dealing with right now. Is that I, on the one hand, know that certain people have a name and they have experience. I know that it'll be of quality, and I don't have to really worry about it. Like, I don't have to worry about what's going to happen with you guys. It's going to be good because you guys showed that last year. But there's people that I also want to give that chance. The same, like, I want to, but how do you know what's the
taking the leap sort of issue? Is that it?
I guess because
Leap of faith, or
Yeah,
I don't know how to.
that's the one.
Yeah.
that one.
Well, I think you have to trust on what other people say about them. Well, if we, Thijs and I, we have played there before previous year, and if we say, well, Kiri is a very good performer, well, maybe you can trust us in that we know that, and
That's how it goes.
or you just come to one of my performances before you assign.
Well, yeah, of course, but I don't, like, just practically, I don't have time for that. So it's like, just like as looking at the schedule that I'm dealing with right now, I'm talking with so many people. Like, I had an hour-and-a-half conversation with this amazing poet this afternoon that's going to do super cool stuff at Kultfest. But it's an hour and a half. I can't do that with everyone. So it feels really... I did that at the beginning a lot, and I kind of...
I think you should, if I may interrupt.
Yes, of course.
I think you should try to, even if it's really hard, try to just preview the most of the performances and artists you can, and I think that's because in that we did I think the first or the second, I don't know anymore. There were a few things. Everything we programmed was the thing we liked, but we saw afterwards that we just missed a few steps of the good presentation of something. And if you watch a performance before you really present it on your festival, you can see how it's being supported the best with a certain type of production or a certain type of...
You can adjust your production.
Yeah, you can adjust your production, and there is so much that can go wrong in production or in just different types of just artists. Not everybody is, I think, can be approached in the same way, or could be lead to the stage in the same way, or has a different space before they're actually performing that they need.
Well, that's the hard part of Kultfest, is that what you mentioned before. You said, in what way do you want to set up collaborations or make a performance or something for a festival? That's exactly what's happening for Kultfest. Almost everything does not exist yet. So all I can refer to is either work that they've done before or nothing, because it's something totally new, because there's a total new collaboration that's going to happen. I think that's cool, because then you connect people that would never have met each other before, and something really cool can come out of it, but also something crap can come out of it.
I sense a certain aesthetic in it that you should embrace, instead of trying to form it into a very well programmed or very sort of sculptured program by you or the other people of the festival. I mean, you were talking about giving the freedom, or say wield the power, but to the artists themselves. They have to organize whatever they're going to do. And you're trying to combine. You're sort of experimenting with like liquids, like chemistry, sort of. It could explode, or it could come out with a nice smell or whatever. You know. And I think that explosion can have, or even the bad smell can can be a conscious choice. And you already made it, but it seems to me that you're struggling. With the fact that most festivals are more sculptured in a sense and more controlled, and you were trying to lean that way, but the essence of Kultfest was not that, in fact. So why are you?
That's true, but that's the thing. Like,
I mean, you can just
people
say
are paying for tickets, so it's like, just like looking at it this way, you have to know that it's going to be of quality. And we got a lot of responses last year that not everything was the quality they expected.
Okay.
So, I mean,
But then that's the question of
Yeah.
how do you want to, I think the question you're asking is how to manage the expectation of the viewers, not necessarily, you know, it's obviously
Yeah, that has a lot to do with
interrelated,
it.
I mean, I guess in your case you should probably go for a mix of people that you know, like okay,
Yeah, we are doing that.
good stuff is gonna come out,
Yeah.
and for the stuff where you aren't sure, I guess you will need to have someone who's sort of helping on a project management level.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think so.
Who sort of keeps tabs on that stuff is happening, and that the people involved have a clue of what they're doing, and maybe also think along any sort of issues they might come across.
That's true. We don't have that person.
That explains.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. Like,
Or persons.
Exactly. That's the thing. Like, I don't know. This is an issue. I don't even know if this is the right place to discuss this because it's like something so specific though that it's.
Oh well, it's quite interesting.
Yeah.
To think about
Yeah.
people that are in the festival and that, in a certain way, work together with the artist towards a sort of good presentation or a good.
And there's so many different ways there's so many different types of collaboration that I'm dealing with right now, which I find very interesting because I'm working with, let's say, an amateur from an amateur that really would like to do something cool at the festival to a festival that has people in their network that they want to also give to us or like kind of show that they can also work with us. And like that's what happened today. I was talking to someone that someone else had referred to me, or how do you say that? I got via. So it's like from another organization. I'm going through that kind of collaboration, and then I'm also getting people that I just want to do something because they would like to do something, and then I have kind of semi-amateurs, and I have professional organizations or artists that I also would like to do. It's so interesting, but so difficult at the same time because you're dealing. I don't know, I think that most festivals that I know of usually just deal with like one type of, maybe I'm wrong, but like a certain, maybe more in one direction.
I have a question that relates to this.
Yeah?
Maybe from you guys as organizers, but from you guys from your experience in performing. How do you feel with a festival having an identity or like a brand name or do you work towards that? Like you mentioned something about quality, like having a level of quality, but do you have something like an identity or a reputation you want to create for your festival?
Yeah, we do. We kind of narrowing down certain types of art, design, and sort of technological projects, and they're kind of based around sort of hybrid performances or artworks or music that comes out of sort of audiovisual art, electronic music, and network technology or internet developments. That's sort of the area we're looking at, but we're also really looking at aesthetics and sort of immersive quality. If I can say it, immersive is a very hard word, really. It has a lot of different sort of reflections, but it's, if I can describe it like that, it could be really sort of multi-sensoric experience, and that's the area we aim at. So we kind of looking at works, even if they're young or if they're prototyping or if they have those kind of characteristics. Sorry, I don't like the word characteristics. And then we choose if we think they match with our festival brand or festival view. Sometimes we see things that are quite off, but if we like them, we still do them. Like, okay, this is really off, but this is so amazing. We should just do it. So yeah. Is that the answer on your question?
I'm curious about.
Cultfest is a very strong brand. I think I don't think we all realize it yet, but as an organization. But I think the biggest thing that Cultfest wants to show and communicate is that we want to kind of be a platform for experimentation. So anything in that sense is possible. And kind of create clashes in between disciplines because, well, not because. I think that if you want to be part of Cultfest, you have to have a strong leergierigheid. In English.
Wanting to learn.
Wanting to learn very badly. Because then if you want to learn from, like, we want to kind of create an environment where you can really learn from each other, and that you can. That's at least I'm experiencing that right now while I'm
so
doing.
in that sense, that's why you invite both amateurs and professionals.
Yes,
in your
well, that's one part of it, but not only that. That's just an example of what you can learn from each other as an amateur and a professional, but also in terms of discipline, or in terms of experience, or in terms of background, or anything. It's kind of amazing to see how many people have already kind of connected with each other on their own, just because I said, hey guys, you should meet each other. Because that's kind of what Cultfest wants to do. It's kind of, I plant a seed and you kind of grow the tree. Or the tree grows on its own. That's my ideal situation. It's happening a little bit, but not the whole time. Like, I planted the seed with you guys and the tree's growing. It's clear. I mean, you came with a list of all these people that you would like to invite that all have something to do with kind of a delirium vision. In the festival's theme is delirium, I guess, Wahnsinn in Dutch. And they came up with a list of people that they would like to invite that all have kind of, they could tell a story about sound and delirium, like the connection between sound and music and delirium, but also performers that have that connection. It's just, I don't know, planting seeds and seeing the tree grow. I don't know, that's maybe a little bit of a vague.
No, it's clear.
I think if you think about a brand, that's something I've also see in Cultfest. We try to just move to how do you call it? Just let the brand a little bit, let the brand evolve, because we really started as a festival for starting artists, still studying, starters who just start making art, design, music, and we're still doing it. But we came to the conclusion that if you really want to add value to this, you might not only concentrate on these starting artists, but really connect them with professional artists, or give them a professional stage. So we're now moving more towards the combination of both of them, and to really mix more experienced artists with a starting artist, or just to present to give the young artist a very professional stage where you can present his performance. So that's why we still like working with Trouw Amsterdam, because they have this amazing music quality, and you really can offer a high quality environment for your artists. So that's only also the thing that we're looking we're thinking about if we talk about a festival brand. So we want to focus more on these kind of connections. Or
Speaking of connections, I have a couple of comments online. I mean, this maybe will lead to the further discussion. Not right, it doesn't fall right just now, but I'm just going to say it because otherwise we're going to forget. I think one of the questions we just asked in the beginning directly was that what are the other ways? What can we do? What else can be done to give the artists something back? And you said, for example, you didn't have money, but then we could give you other needs we can. And then one of the things that, who wrote it? I don't know. It's a guest, but says, if you're not offering them payment, how do you help them? Except food and that kind of stuff. I think, for example, good documentation by the performances is underestimated. So I think that is an important part of festivals that they can do. They probably have a online space where artists cannot, if they cannot make it themselves.
Yeah, that's a very good point. I think.
The other thing Just before we finish,
Yeah.
the other thing is about building community,
Yeah, exactly.
connecting artists during festival, which you guys are sort of doing.
Well, yeah, that's interesting because I was looking. I already wrote some of these things down. I was like, why should you work with Kultfest for people that like because we don't have any money, so why would you actually do it? Is that you get it's all in Dutch shit. A groot bereik, like you get
Audience.
a lot of audience that can come around. It's like in the center of the city in unique locations because it's in Worfcellars on the Oude Gracht, so it's like an amazing place where no one else has ever done anything. And you kind of have this like mixed group of people that would never have met each other otherwise. So you kind of create this, I don't know, without saying it, like a multidisciplinary network organization that you wouldn't create without the festival. And festivals do kind of have this buzz to it. At least that's what I really would like to create, like a buzz that. It's okay.
But that buzz shouldn't stay only at the festival.
No,
where the
we want to create
documentation
the more
comes.
duurzaam,
That's
Well,
stable.
quite hard, and
What's hard?
now to maintain this.
Maintain the-
this,
Yeah, right.
because we're doing it. We're interviewing artists afterwards. We're following them. We try to follow their Twitters, their tweets, their Facebook posts. We try to retweet. We try to come up with reports on new work. It works, but it takes a lot of effort if you really want to do it well.
Yeah.
And then you become a sort of different organization. You move towards being a real festival organization to a more editorial organization, and that's great.
Or a
but you have
publicity
to,
organization.
yeah.
But do you communicate this beforehand? So you say, we will keep track of what you're doing and keep posting things about it. Do you say that when you start?
No, we don't. No, because we can't always guarantee that we can meet up with the standards that we would like to. And we don't say it in before, but we do it. We just do it.
Yeah.
It's just we follow the artists. We write about the work. We look at the prototypes they make. We visit them and their exhibitions, meet up, and that's just genuine interest. And
of course, yeah.
and then we translate it to the web to really bring it as a package. In the beginning of before even programming there for instance, I think I'm a bit doubtful about it because I don't think at the moment we can with everyone we can do it as we would like to.
But
So,
maybe,
yeah.
and maybe like playing devil's advocate a little bit. As an artist, sometimes I really have the feeling that you go to a festival where you play usually for free to get the word out so you can play more festivals for free. And it's a cycle that you go into.
Yeah, that was actually one thing. I mean, if you organize a festival and you don't pay the artist, but you do charge people an entrance fee, then you have to, or you get subsidy. You have to be really transparent in where the money actually goes.
I agree.
Because the money is going somewhere.
Yeah.
if
Sometimes
it's not
I
to
have
the
the feeling
artist,
that all
then
the
to
money
who
goes
is
to
it?
the place.
Yeah, the
Like-
technicians or something.
Or the technicians, like I sometimes feel like the guy who's plugging in my system makes more money than the guy who reels in.
Well, I can be very okay. That's another part of the Kultfest brand, transparency in everything. We talk about everything online.
Yeah, but it's not
So-
just your festivals, but it's more in a broader sense that.
No, but I think that's a very good point.
It's and even if you really talk about like big festivals like 10,000 visitors, and then still like getting nothing or next to nothing in payment.
Yeah.
It's just really
There were
feels
actually some stats going around quite recently about where different subsidy money goes.
Can we have a link to that?
Like now?
That's quite interesting.
Where the subsidy money goes.
Well, there was actually the bigger the organization or the more high profile the museum or whatever, the less money actually went to artists.
They get a big overhead, of course. Like, or
and
is it
Yeah, I mean, and that's, I think that's really problematic. Yeah, the people who actually generate the content that actually makes the money don't get a piece of the pie at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and especially now, since artists need to make money by playing gigs instead of other ways of making money. So yeah, if you play for free for a festival to get a stage from the festival, then you wind up playing on festivals for free.
To get a stage.
Yeah, every time.
Yeah,
And you can't develop new works from that situation, or it's harder to develop new.
I find this a very interesting topic because this is what Guildfest kind of was based on.
Yeah.
But also not only giving you a platform where you can present yourself, but also the collaboration that can exist, which is unique. But still, it's exactly what you say, and I have this little sour feeling in my mouth every time, really though, like, because I know that I would more than anything would like to pay you, because it's worth it, you know, it's so double, because at the same time I think, well wait, we are really offering you an amazing place where you could do this, with unique collaborations, blah blah blah, but at the same time I'm like, but wait, isn't that very hypocritical, because I want artists to get paid for what they do, because it would be so weird if you would constantly have to do it like this and have to work at a bar to be able to play for free again at a festival. So it's like
That's
for me
the
as
artist paradigm,
but for me as an artist,
Yeah.
I'm as soon as money goes out of the table, which is usually like after the first meeting, then I start making lists. Okay, so what do I get out of this? Like why would I start up my computer and prepare anything for this? And one of the things, like in the case of Guildfest, artistic freedom is worth something to me. So if I get a place where I can sort of really shape something, like build something from ground up and be able to show that's like, for me that's interesting, because then I can stand out in a way and really like excel.
Yeah, I
The
think.
other thing about this is, like, when you're not getting the money yourself as an artist fee, let's say, I think it's really important you at least get really good production support, technical support, whatever support, like really really top notch of these things, so that you don't have, I mean, if I were to get the artist fee, I would probably spend it on getting those supports elsewhere, so at least you provide that I don't have to also worry on that one on top of, you know. And it's really not about greed or anything, it's the basic, and if the basic is not there, then at least you have to be really compensating or actually substituting it with something
Well,
else.
it's quite funny.
But it's
I
hard
think.
though.
Well, I think with Fiverr is that we're an organization of artists, and we are in the same. We were actually quite on the same level of artists, because everyone is an artist organizing an artist festival that exposes all of us to the public, and so in the first edition we actually got the same as all the artists. We just leveled it, and we're going more and more up. And if the artists get more money, then we get more money. So we're kind of like a sort of flat organization, which is very transparent at what everybody gets. And so we try to think of ourselves as artists, and so you don't get this distinction because I'm the programmer and you're the artist. No, we're just on the same level and thinking about the same. So that's very. I think it's a nice way of working, actually, that you don't feel as a sort of organization that's.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, what you just said remind me of what a teacher of us said earlier. He was talking about the 3 P's. Does it ring a bell? About 3 P's. In Dutch it's poen, plezier, and prestige. So that's fun, money, and prestige.
You get only the
you
2
always
of them.
get 2 out of 3.
Yeah, always.
Yeah.
There is always a triangle.
Never
the
the
big
pundo.
thing.
Poen, prestige en
Poen, plezier, and prestige.
No, but I think it's the first year we had we had a very small budget, so we paid certain artists. Certain artists just said, okay, no, I just want to try out something. I don't want to be paid. I just want to try out. And then we're like, okay. And we take the risk. Yeah, we just took the risk, and we didn't know
anything.
anything.
It's a very valuable thing that you can give to an
Yeah,
artist.
but that's exactly
exactly
what Coldfest also provides, like a place to try out stuff.
And certain people we paid, and the second year we just leveled it at all. Like, okay, everybody gets the same share. And then you can work on different things. For instance, making a very good backstage where people meet each other, helping out with the production, just setting up meetings where everybody meets each other. And there are quite different ways as making it sort of a great atmosphere to be and to just to walk around. And actually, a lot of the money just went into making the backstage a really nice and cozy place. So that's of course a thing you can also do. That's exactly
what we're aiming to do, as well as that that's the money will always go right back into Guildfest. I'm not getting paid for my work there. I mean, it doesn't really matter, but it does matter. It would be perfect if I would get paid for this, of course. But I mean,
also maybe to go back to an earlier question by Kiri about the branding thing. Maybe again to play a little bit devil's advocate, but as an artist, I'm sometimes like skipping through possible festivals and like, oh yeah, what's their theme this year? Oh, it's cows. Oh well, maybe I can make some moaning sounds out of this. Yeah, okay, cool, I can apply to it. And they want something that is about flying. Okay, well, I'll just stick some wings to my project and apply for it and see if it works.
You're kind of working because
it's like it's sometimes it's sometimes those themes on the one hand it's really cool because you get a festival where there's this running theme, but sometimes it's like
But I think that theme is you're taking it the other way around. I mean, if you work like a, let's say, freelancer way, like go where the money is sort of way, but go where the festival is, so I have to make a work based on that theme. I think festivals are, at least in my head, maybe that's not the fact, but I always assume that they would be sort of surfing the trend or seeing what is the actual theme in the current art scene or the new media, whatever it is they fall into, and pick a theme based on that because that's relevant to the now. And then they would pick the artists who have been already investigating or experimenting with that notion or concept or whatever in their work. Yeah. And if you haven't been interested in already, then it will look like, oh yeah, then I have to adjust my work to that, which shouldn't be necessarily the case. The point there, obviously, if you have a very like a narrow focus on a certain concept for a long time, you might find it hard to pitch it to every festival because they will have different things, but over time. But then I also see that artists slightly adjusting a past work so that it fits slightly, but it's not like making a complete work out of scratch every time just to fit it, because that's basically actually again commissioned work. And if you ask, I mean, it's fine, but that's not the only
exactly
way.
What I was referring to the making it fit factor.
Well, that's something. A theme and if a festival picks a theme, and it could be very broad still, but as a festival you want to tell a story about what's happening at the moment in contemporary art, design, and music, and you want to present that to your festival that they attach to these kind of developments. They could be cultural, they could be developments in society, but you want to tell a story and a valuable story, because otherwise you could just present a whole room full of art, just art. But that isn't just what it's about. It's just
well, I guess it depends. I mean, a lot of the works I'm involved in, they just take a lot of time to make. Like, you don't make them in a few months. They take like 1 or 2 years to make. So, in that sense, it's also like you can't just easily adjust them to whatever theme is hip at the moment.
Isn't that the curation?
Well, and I won't say it's hip. That's something I'm.
Well,
No, that's
Isn't
not
that
something
part of
I'm
the
interested
curation
in.
process that you pick art pieces that have been that fit into the theme of the festival. It's like it sounds like the artists have are given an assignment for the festival to create something, or
No.
every time instead of displaying work that they're already
No,
working on.
I'm
It
not
happens both
agreeing.
ways, though.
No, I'm not
Yeah.
agreeing. We're not working like that.
You're not working like
no,
that.
No, I agree with your idea that an artist comes with an idea, works on a subject, and makes it into art.
Yeah.
That's the starting point. And I'm totally disagree with themes being hip. We're not. It's just a wave of things that are going through society and culture that you want to express, and certain types of art fit with these kind of subjects, and that's the thing where you start working your theme. And of course in the end you have to translate it to the public, but I won't say we just start with a theme and work backwards and just imposing it on art.
Okay.
That would be very bad. I
No,
think.
no. Okay, that's
And I agree that sometimes certain works just take a very long time to develop, but I don't think that's a problem at all for a festival. And you might even, if you have a broad theme or a broad subject, it might fit. Or you might even say our theme is that we don't take any theme this year, and we look at certain types of art that represent certain developments or certain ideas. Or you start make a selection with works and see what's their connection between each other.
Yeah, yeah.
There's a quite different ways you can approach them, but I won't say that a theme is okay. We want to do this as a festival, and then say okay, let's make the theme happen.
Shadi, I have a question for you. With Cultfest, you choose the theme Bouncing.
Delirium.
Aren't you afraid that the theme is way too broad? That everything is in some kind of way is
Well,
Wahnsinn, and that you can't communicate it.
yeah.
That's what I'm working on right now. That's a good question.
I'm really scared that every performance will turn out into
Hysterical?
into some kind of chaos at some point, which I most of the time really dislike.
Okay, no, well,
So-
I can tell you that that's not going to happen because I
Okay.
do have a view on what the program is, of course. But that it's what I find so interesting about this topic is that, in a sense, everyone has some kind of I don't know. Someone sees something in the topic, or the theme. I mean, it's really interesting to see, and that's exactly what Cultfest wants to show. Is that there are so many different points of view that you can connect with each other, and my job is to make sure that there's a story that's being told, and that what I'm hoping to accomplish is that I can take the audience into like a trip, like you go through like a wave, like you.
Oh, you're a composer.
Yeah, well, it's like you can see it like that. Actually, yeah, it's a nice metaphor, I guess, because you take someone into like a storyline, and what I'm trying to do right now is all the people that have said that they want to collaborate, or what I'm looking forward to in a collaboration, is that I want to fit it into it's 3-day festival, and every day I want to have like some kind of middle point that I want to communicate to the audience. So the first day is, okay, so what is delirium or madness to you? That's kind of the question of the day, perhaps. And then from there, the second day, the question is, or not a question, but you're just going to be dumped into this crazy madness, and you just don't know what's going on. So the program pieces that I have in my backpack, I'll try to place so that it kind of makes sense in that way, and at that day. And the third day, I want to make, that would be cool if I could, I don't know how to say that in English, like kind of give delirium a new meaning to people that have been to the festival, and then they bring it along with them for the rest of their lives.
You are a composer.
Yeah, you are.
Oh, that's nice of you. See that as a compliment.
India.
But I mean, that's something that I
In the
want to
ambition.
try to do. I've never done this before.
But then you're using actually.
But
you're
this is a vision I have.
You're using the organizing a festival as a medium for a conceptual art sort of thing, actually.
Yeah, well, I
It's
mean,
like a
that's what I
performance,
find
yeah.
so, because I'm creative in my way as well. And that's exactly what Cultfest is about. And for me as a person, just next to everything that I'm doing, details make the magic. And if I know that every single thing is like, I'm not perfectionist. Really, I'm not.
Right.
No. No, I'm not a perfectionist, but I mean, like, if I practice what you preach, that's kind of what I'm saying. So I'm saying that I want to connect different disciplines with each other, and I want to show that everyone is creative in their own manner, then I will also show that I'm creative in my manner. Kind of like
Thijs,
that.
I would like to come back what you said about your work and sticking wings to it. I find this an interesting remark, because are you also looking at places and festivals and galleries where you think you can attach with your art? Where you find the places where your
the
art
other
is
way
in
around.
this sort of square where you as an artist can present it and a bigger audience can say, okay, that's the value of the work you make. Because if you say it like just stick wings to my work, I think it's weird.
No, well, that's really like playing devil's advocate.
Okay.
The way it works is it's going on multiple levels always.
Of course, I'm also like
The first level is I create art, and I do that because I have ideas and I have things I want to express.
Yeah.
And I don't care what happens to that because I'm making that artwork for nobody else than myself. Then at a certain point, those ideas sort of get to a point where they're presentable, and then I'm sort of on the one hand looking around like, okay, so what's happening right now? Where does this fit in? Where is there a match to be found? So if there's a festival that has a theme that's really relevant to what I'm trying to get across, naturally I'm going to apply to that one.
Yeah.
But yeah, fortunately there are nowadays like so many festivals, so many especially if you look across the borders, there's always stuff you can apply to, and there's always some themes that are relevant. Then on the other hand, you have your network, because you've already worked with people and you've already presented some work. And you usually get these questions like, "Hey, we're throwing this festival. Then we heard you were working on something.
You want to do something.
You want to do something."
But
And then it usually turns out more in a sort of either creating a work specifically for the festival or a hybrid thing where I'm already working on some ideas and they have this thing, and then it sort of evolves to a middle ground. But usually then I'll look at it as a completely new work.
Yeah.
That is not this idea, not their festival idea, not my idea, but something that
Just
connects in between. So that's in practice how I usually.
And is that last example, is that something that is rewarding? Or
can
is,
be,
yeah?
I would say. If it
Or
turns
is
out
it
to be
Depends.
more rewarding just to work on a piece and make it without any questions of all these festivals, finish it and then show it?
Well, it's usually rewarding in the most literal sense of the word. As in, once you're asked to do something for a festival, it's chances of you getting paid are significantly higher than if you ask if your work can be presented at a festival.
But more than that, if you have a work, you make the network at that point, and then if you already have been working on the work, at some point when it's ready, you can pitch that. So it's also, I mean, it's not like I'm just gonna make stuff and then they will find me. You have to do something. You have to act on it. It's both ways. You have to do both, I think, until you are, I don't know, you have a name or whatever it's called nowadays.
Yeah, but it's with the commissioned work. As an artist, I kind of still like having restrictions. I get creativity out of that, so I don't mind having like a sort of theme that it has to refer to or whatever, because that for me is that's a boundary that I can step on or slightly over.
The thing is, I mean, when you're working on your own, like say, let's sort of step back. I think it's all about, like, for the artist, the question is like, why do you start working on something? Is it because somebody asked you to do, or is it because you saw something and you wanted to pitch something to it, or is it because you just wanted to do it and then at some point it will become presentable, but you don't think of it when you started it. I think they're both, well, they both happen. It's not like one person just does one, I think. And if they can do, they're pretty lucky. Well, good for them, but or unlucky, depending on which one they're doing only. But I think what I'm trying to say is it's not about only one type of work is rewarding. There can, if you like what you're doing at the moment, regardless of why it is being done, if you like it, you really, really like it, then it's rewarding in itself. If you can say like, oh, okay, I really like this work and I see future in this. And it also could be that you get a commission or whatever, or they ask you to do something, and you think that is. You can right now you can say, oh, that's probably a one-time thing, but sometimes it takes off and it starts a life of its own, and then evolves, and then it becomes a work of its own, or you see that there is a potential for that, and what started as a one-time work for whatever festival can be a long-term thing.
Yeah, that's really interesting, though. I think then you create something that's so valuable, and so it's I don't know, can keep going. Sustainable. I think that if as a festival you can kind of set that up. But actually, I don't know if we want to give a moment of break soon. But I want to get back to the question I made this vicious circle of no money, going from festival to festival, no money, and then let's say this is Kultfest.
And then suddenly,
no, really, this is like let's say like this would be cool. Then suddenly you go, whoa, there's money. My question is, how do you get artists out of this vicious circle as a festival? Or as a festival, how can you, I'm just wondering if this is...
You shouldn't program festivals, program artists without money. No. It's of course something you have to, if you're a young festival, you don't have a lot, and you try to manage with all of you together, and then you move to the second stage, you have to grow on the same fee level as you are also growing as a festival. And I think with now that we as festivals have to be more like entrepreneurs with the whole new funding system. You have to you are obliged to your artists to also just make it a healthy relationship. And if you don't have money, just sit down at the table and ask, what do you want? What is it? Of course, if you want money, then we pay money.
That's exactly what we do, though.
Anything else, then we can supply it. But I wouldn't do another festival without paying anyone.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. Like, I today talked to a poet that's pretty well known, and he was going to collaborate without getting paid. And I told him from the start that we don't have any money. And he said, that's cool, because what I can do at Kultfest, I can't do anywhere else. So then I come back to what Thijs just said. I guess we offer an environment where something is possible and not everyone gets that chance. For instance, last year, I know what you mean, because I
would still pay them.
With what money? We're not getting paid ourselves either. So if you want to keep it on the same level...
But there's a question about...
I don't know. We have to move out of this space where... even if it is a little...
But what's a little?
I can't say, but you can just discuss about it. Or I think we have to get to a certain level that we say, okay, we have to pay each other. That's just normal.
I agree, but it's like I'm just wondering.
I just work harder. First of all, get more money in. I don't know. It sounds very 0-1, but I think it's very it's
important.
Yeah.
I find important. Yes, it's important. I agree, but that's like I know struggle I'm in with right now is because we are, I think, really being pretty good entrepreneurs in that sense, because we're talking to a very broad range of people that are going to try to fund us in a way, but all the money that we're looking for right now is going into, like, making it as a metaphor, the backstage area. You know, so we're trying to create a space, a place, making sure that all the technical things are there that are necessary.
Sure.
We're getting sponsored by this huge company called Amco that does all the lighting for Lowlands. They just want to, you know, like, we're working on it that way.
Yeah.
So
But
that's what we can offer,
but
and we can offer you a
but still,
fee for
if
your
you're looking
traveling
in
or-
this sort of area, you might want to do 3 or 2 lights less. You can choose it. You can still have an interesting environment where you have money for your artist instead of having the perfect environment as a festival.
Yeah.
You can play with it.
Yeah.
And I think you have a responsibility towards your artist to say on a certain level, okay, we won't do this big entrance thing or something, and just make a new balance. So I think it's about this inner and outer balance that you have to think about. And yeah.
Well, you know, actually, maybe we will get enough money so that we can pay
Yeah,
people.
of course. Yeah.
So I mean, but in the first sense, that's not how we want to connect people to Kultfest.
You don't
It's
want
just a different, you know, motivation or
selling point.
selling point. It's just
Really
totally different. Burning Man, everyone's there. There is absolutely nothing there, but everyone makes it into this huge event.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Which is exactly what
Yeah.
Kultfest is all about. It's
Yeah.
crowdsourcing. So it's just different. I don't know if there's a right and a wrong.
No, there's no
Yeah.
right or
Yeah.
wrong. It's just
Well, the problem is if things like that keep being organized, at some point there are only crowdsourced festivals.
Agreed.
And
But then how?
that is
Like,
the
let's say
problem
this
for
is
the
not a
artists.
festival. It's just like I'm just trying to create, like, these are all festivals. Let's just say, like, all these festivals don't have money. That's not going to change, okay? This is a hypothetical. And then how can I, as a festival, make sure that you can get money, maybe not in a festival, at another festival, but create some kind of a network where you can maybe work with businesses or, like, use your creativity in a different way so that you can get...
You can.
This
you
is what I
can.
want to do with Miss
There are
Moustache, so I'm trying to find...
There are different options. Of course, you can work together with companies or sponsors, or and there are a lot of festivals working together. They say to a production, like, okay, you have this production. For instance, what Stripe did with Akida's performance, Superposition. They what's the word? They invested in the work and made it possible that Akira could perform at Stripe. So they put money in performance. And there are more festivals doing this type of things, that they say, okay, we have like Unsound in Krakow, with Today's Art, with different festivals, and together we make it happen that we have a very good performance that travels around in different countries and support it. And you can make it happen.
Depending on what kind of stuff your is in the festival, you can make sure that people from theaters, galleries, musea that do pay for showing this kind of work, that they come.
That's
Yeah.
exactly
That
what
they-
we're going to be doing. I mean, that's
They
exactly
come
the
and see
people
the
that
work
are
and-
coming to this Kultfest are people from the scene. So that's exactly what we're offering as well. And this a good example of what I just heard yesterday is that Stekkerfest is doing something really cool this year. They want to set up this studio Stekker in the week just prior's before, right? To the festival, and they want to they made a deal with all these international producers, saying, okay, the week before you get the chance to actually collaborate with each other, and all these international producers and also national producers will come together, make cool music in a week at Kaitopia Studio in Utrecht, and then they will present this work at Stekkerfest. And because of this collaboration, they're hiring all of these producers, international producers, for less money.
Yeah.
So it's like they're offering them something really cool, like interdisciplinary collaboration, let's say in the Cult Fest, and because of that they said, okay, we can do this. This sounds pretty amazing. We'll come to your festival. You don't have to pay us as much.
Well,
That's an interesting way of doing it as well.
I do really like also the idea of offering residencies in connection with festivals, like having. I've done something similar, not specifically for a festival, but for a concert night, where it was like a short 3-day residency where I sat with 2 other musicians, developed work, and then the result of that collaboration was presented at that concert.
Yeah,
Which is, the funny thing is that I got paid to do the residency, but got no money as a fee for the concert itself, which is funny in my head, but still, it was a way to get revenue out of that, and it was a way to work in a new environment and meet new artists, and have all of these added qualities. That made it really interesting.
I would like to add something on this conversation. The past 2 years I took part in a festival in Athens, a totally different cultural climate than the Netherlands at the moment. It's a residency studio in Athens, and they do a small festival in September with works in progress. So they have no funding, they have no revenue, and what they do is they offer the space for rehearsals to develop your piece, and they offer then a performance. You get nothing from the door, and they get all the money from the door themselves. And in that case, it's just about keeping the venue alive. It's not about exposure. It's not about getting this fancy commission. It's about a community of people.
Which was actually online.
And I would like to point that out and maybe ask you guys that you're locals, like, what is the sense of community in these festivals? Do you support a certain kind of people, or do festivals in Utrecht involve like really local people? And I don't know what's going on.
I once played in a small town in Germany, and it was a festival. It was 2 days festival, and we get there for travel fee. But they give us the opportunity to play some concerts in Dresden, in some places around there. So we get the money from those performances, and we can play at the festival for free. So that's also good. If you get an artist from Belgium or something, try to contact Echo or Aku and organize an evening there with concerts, and then you can pay him.
Yeah, exactly. That's what the bigger festivals do as well. If you have Pinkpop, for example, if they want to get those bigger names, they put a festival on the same weekend as some festival in Belgium and in Germany, so they can get those bigger artists together in the same weekend.
And they're always looking at tours as well. Like if there's some people from the States touring Europe, it's like, okay, well, they're in the neighborhood between this and that date. Okay, so that's an option.
Fiber is very community based. It's not only stretches to one city, but it stretches along different cities and different areas. Even now going to Mexico, where we have built very strong relationship with people from Hot Pixel, going to Shiny Toys Festival and their community. So we're really based on this community kind of network structure. And we're not really offering like certain types of gigs, but we're also always looking for, if a question comes to our network, we're looking if we have an option for an artist. Just to say, okay, we are being asked to produce something, but we're not going to do it. Do you want to do it? And give them the opportunity and to look for opportunities that fit with different artists. So. Before Fiber, all the artists were working with the different artists in The Hague, in Rotterdam, in Utrecht, in Amsterdam, and that's being collected into this festival. So it's it's based on these relationships between different artists, and I find it a very nice example that you provide space in front before and after your festival to develop certain works or to help or to just have a good chat and sit down or
it's really a community space, and we always have discussion with the audience after.
Yeah.
Well, the audience are always artists.
yeah.
Like they were performing on previous day and then they come to your piece and then you talk about it. Or some people who got stranded in Athens in August.
Yeah.
They couldn't go to the islands.
I have a question about this. Like this thing that just you mentioned, like art for artist by artist. This like I even dare to say incestuous.
Thank you for uitgeproefd.
Well, you need to understand. You need to understand that we're talking about a very small venue. Okay, it's well known in Athens.
I wasn't talking about specific to that. I was talking about the notion of this like
From
festivals
artist to
becoming
artist.
this artist and not really opening up to the I mean, what's the general public for this?
Well, you-
That
there
word
is.
even
Does it
There
really
is,
exist?
of
Yeah.
course.
Yeah.
You have
What
to
is
you have
that?
to connect
So how do you
artist
create that
communities
general?
with public communities,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
they're overlapping or knowing each other or don't knowing each other,
Yeah.
and that's the whole interesting
Yeah.
dynamic of being a festival. That you
But
Exactly.
It's the
on the other
thing.
hand, I sometimes feel like certain festivals have like this exhibition space, and then during the day there are these artistic works in electronics, maybe the more experimental sound arts type things, and then it's club night, and suddenly like a lot of people, like suddenly the place is packed. Nobody watches what's
Yeah.
happening in the exhibition, and they're all just dancing and drinking
then you're
beer.
doing something wrong.
Yeah,
because
I-
you really have
Yeah.
to gradually move up to.
Yeah, but sometimes festivals actually
Build up.
manage to do that, and some festivals it's really like, okay, we had this, and it's
Yeah.
And I actually, this is exactly what my friends said. Like, I'm in one of the
Oh,
recent
you're not doing
festivals. My friends, like my housemates, I'm friends not in the like the creative scene, but just friends. They somehow end up in the festival seeing the whole, let's say, the geeky part of it, the nerdy artsy part of it, and they're like, "Oh, that's what you're doing," and I'm like, "Yeah, okay." And then they leave, and then they come for the party afterwards because that's the entrance point for them. They don't and festivals are the place, as you said, that to sort of pull it down slightly and make this entry a bit more smooth for them, so it becomes more not just for artists by
Just a
by
little bit,
artists.
the threshold is a little bit lower. There's
Not
no-
quality or whatever.
No,
Why,
no,
by the
but
way,
just
but
the-
I'm just saying,
it's
like,
more
maybe it's about the
accessible.
way they program it, maybe the way about how it's created or whatever. I don't know. But I totally see that gap from my very first circle, social
Yeah.
circle.
I have an
Well-
example for that. I was at Stripe last Saturday.
I was at Sonic.
Sorry?
my experience was the
Oh,
same.
the Sonic X. Yeah, that was really like
Boom.
party.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, at Stripe it was amazing. Well, the exhibition was titled "City of Cyborgs."
Yeah.
So they were exploring a bit like technology and how it invades our lives and stuff. But what the amazing when I was there, the amazing thing they did was they invited retired people from Philips to visit the exhibition.
Oh, cool.
And you had 100 retired people with their grandchildren and their wives, walking around the exhibition, and then they gave them a flyer to a questionnaire to fill in, like, how does this relate to you, and what did you get from this? When I asked one of the organizers, they said they wanted to connect these people with the artists themselves, so they're gonna
Yeah.
give the questionnaires to the artists.
I really like
later.
that.
Well, I don't think it's
I don't
gonna
know.
work because
doesn't
we
work-
never
didn't
know
work?
if the artists are gonna read them. But
Maybe not
the
through
idea
a
of having these
questionnaire.
people with their grandchildren coming to this art place,
But maybe
I think
not
it
through
was-
a
it was
questionnaire.
amazing.
I mean, that's something so. I would have done it a little differently.
it
probably.
would
I
have
like
worked better with a workshop.
But I like the
or-
idea behind it, though.
Yeah, it was great to see these people, high-tech space full of older people. It was amazing.
We have a question online, question for some point. Whether, this is from Shelley Notes, whether any of the festivals present are organizing interim events between festival to try to maintain a community /
Yes.
buzz.
Yes.
And how do you do it?
doing? We do different things. We're working together with artists to present artworks, just not a festival, not a sort of big program, but just
do
different types of artworks we can expose somewhere. We try to find a space and try to find money and try to find just make it happen. We're organizing small meetups. It could be just a drink, different things, and we're now working towards 4 events this year to work on different areas of artistic developments. And those are kind of like there's semi-public, semi-artist events, and very hybrid, very multidisciplinary, where we start with a small lecture, then we do a small workshop, then so it's not really as close as a festival sometimes can be. So yeah, that's something we do, and we of course we have the online platform Fiberspace, where we have a small editorial team that just writes and scans and just asks a lot of artists, like, what are you working on? Can we put up something on the website? Can we do an interview?
What I also really like about the Fiberspace is that you can see the connections between different festivals, because for instance with Free Mode, the entire Fiber crew was there reporting about it, and different other festivals, you reported about it.
Yeah.
And then you sort of see all those different festivals. It's all basically like one big creative group that tries to bring these works of art out there, and you're all supporting each other as well. So like it's not competition, but it's like colleagues.
Yeah.
And that I really like that. So I mean, in that way, it feels more like community instead of like different festivals competing to get like the most exposure or whatever. It just
it's really changing, I think.
Yeah,
also,
that's what
I don't know if it was before, but it is. The festivals are getting more and more connected with each other. They were already, but they're getting more connected now to see how they can provide different networks.
Yeah, Sonic
I think it's
don't
necessary
see,
also.
you don't see each other as a or how do you say that? Competitor anymore.
Yeah.
You know, it's like
It
you
was
work together
funny.
to get it all
It
done.
was funny that Sonic Act was giving free tickets for Stripe over a Facebook competition. It was so funny. like this post, and you can win free
This
tickets.
this is actually what we're doing right now with Cultfest. Is all the way up into we're way smaller though than Fiber, I think. I mean that and younger. I think we're younger. Well, I mean more in that sense, like what you just told me, what you told us about how you try to keep this going and try to keep it working. That's something that I think that I want to work towards with Cultfest. But right now, the only thing that we're doing, well, not the only thing, what we're doing up into the festival is I'm organizing a monthly event called Cult Lab. And that's meant for people that are interested in wanting to be involved in the whole process towards the festival, and especially artistic-wise. So the program, the content of the festival. So people that are interested in seeing what kind of potential collaborations are existing, what people are thinking about presenting at the festival, they get the chance to just, they can be there, but they can also just join in. A good example is this guy a friend of mine, he's a psychiatrist, and he was at one of those evenings. This is a perfect example because he was there and he thought, this is cool. And then we had a conversation a few weeks later, and I asked him if he wanted to do something for the next Cult Lab. So he presented his point of view as a psychiatrist on the whole topic delirium, and he was so enthusiastic about telling his story in a different environment with different people, way more in connection with the audience than he'd ever been. From there, he was at a Cultfest introduction evening that we organized, where we invited all these huge amount of people, like over 80 people came, and all wanted to collaborate. And he was there, and he met someone that had experienced the psychosis himself, and is a theater maker. And they're now going to be collaborating for the festival together. And in a month or so, he's going to be presenting a follow-up of how far he is in the collaboration. So it's pretty cool to see how someone just was there and was so involved in a way and just did it himself. That's what I mean by planting a seed. It's like it just happened. And it's kind of amazing to see how this works. And just because of the Cult Labs, he's coming back every time because he gets like energy from these evenings, he said. Because he's meeting so many different people from so many different backgrounds that it's pretty amazing to see.
What's the festival's theme?
The theme? It's delirium. And we're also collaborating with festivals. We're going to probably be we're thinking about having teasers at all these. Utrecht is a festival city, so I mean, it's pretty open door. So we want to do something during Tweetakt. We're going to be hopefully presenting some teasers. I'm working together with some venues. Hopefully Echo. We're going to be doing 2 Diep in de Groep evenings. It's like a weekly dance night there, and we can use the foyer and for like as a teaser for Cultfest. And so we're working in that way as well and trying to see if we can work with museums that are all only based on psychiatry. And there's one in Haarlem called Dolhuis. I highly recommend going there. It's very interesting. And we're like making a museum. How do you say that? Sounds good. A deal, like giving away free tickets. But what we want to do is say, okay, so you buy a festival ticket for Cultfest, you get €2 discount when you go to Dolhuis. So you get a package deal, kind of. Things like that, constantly with other festivals as well. Because then, you know, a week later, or maybe in the same weekend, there's another festival. So why would you
It's amazing.
keep your eyes closed for that? Why not work together?
It's amazing how this whole thing drifted into marketing.
Well, it's a big part of it.
So before we fully dive into that,
let's have
a break.
Okay.
Marketing and program.
Now I have a question before marketing, if I may ask. Not now, after the break.
Let's do it after the break. So for everybody who's watching, this is Ryan.
Oh, you were in the picture.